And hi guys, and welcome to this talk with Gamza. We are for the second time together doing interesting topics together discussing. And I see that some of you guys are also in the chat coming from Gamza's channel. That's awesome. So hi to you, Gamza.
How's it going, everybody? Back again with some more live content from my boys.
Awesome,
And today we're
awesome.
going to be discussing some 40K stuff.
Yeah, we actually have a few topics that we're going to discuss, guys. And then, of course, we can go into whatever. But first, there are the topics. So first topic is, should we allow other people to change Warhammer 40k or any universe to their liking since they don't like it as it is? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say that that largely depends. I think the main issue is when you have outside force, they come in and then they beckon to the company to make those changes. If it's something that's someone's going to be making a change to 40K like a cringy fanfic or something else like that, I don't have a problem with that. It's only when they beckon to the main company, like let's say Games Workshop, and they're like, you need to change this to fit what I want, then that's a no-go. I don't agree with that. I
Yeah,
can't see that, especially because it's always going to turn into fanfics that get pushed. Oh, can these two characters be in a relationship? Just garbage like that. I'm like, no, I don't want that.
yeah, absolutely. And I have seen that happen with so many universes, basically every other universe. So we don't need that. If you don't like 40k as it is, don't draw it as Rainbow Town or something. Because there was recently somebody tried to paint Saint Celestine in all the rainbow colors, and some guy some guys wrote in the comments down below that rainbow is a common theme in 40k, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Where was
maybe
that?
on a demon
Where was
planet,
that? Yes.
it'd have to be like a planet of Zinch or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in the planet of Zinch in 40k, that's great for you, I guess. Not Zinch, Slaanesh as well. Slaanesh.
Yeah, true.
But, definitely not on our watch. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think it's just people who have a identity that they grab onto. They are largely uncertain of themselves, and so the goal is I need to project this uncertainty onto other things so that way I can gain validation. They want to be validated by an outside source, and I think that's pathetic overall. So that's why that's all they can see is that identity, and they're going to project that onto everything. So I think that's why we see that, and this is also why they beckon the call of like Games Workshop and stuff. Like you need to do this. You need to put this in the game so that way it helps validate me. I can feel comfortable about myself. It's like no, how about you leave it alone? But yeah, we'll see. Companies like to virtue signal as well.
Yeah, that too. And we have already a lot of people in the chat. Hi to you, everyone. Think they're
What's
talking about the Rainbow Warriors. No, just a particular Saint Celestine painting that I saw that was posted on Twitter. Then I reposted here on the community tab, and a lot of people tuned in, I guess, to say what the heck is that. So yeah, maybe just maybe those things are going to help normal people, normies, to understand that those things are happening, and if they
yeah.
want 40k to be intact, they do have to say something about it because those things become prevalent more and more in, well, everyday life pretty much.
Yeah, they do. And that's the thing is like you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and that's the way that it always works. But the biggest problem too is that these companies they relish in it. That's where you get all these DEI hires. Those people come in, they're welcomed, and then they talk about we don't want to be considered bigots, ists, and phobes, and so it's like they just spread all of it. Then also you can see like what they got with the shareholders. That's why I say like gatekeeping doesn't really work because if the company decides to go in that direction, you really can't stop it. The company has to be the one that gatekeeps and says, no, we're not going to go in this direction. But we know that that doesn't seem to be it doesn't seem to be a thing with these companies. They just welcome the money and they just go with it.
Yeah, exactly what happens. Okay, so we already have a ton of interesting comments. Can you see them?
Yeah, I can see some of them.
Awesome. We can comment on some of them. I just have to move our names around the screen because for some reason I teleported on the other side of the screen.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
So I gotta fix our names here. If you like, you can address some of the comments in the meantime.
Basically, what it is I became the 40K Empress, so now I'm a ma'am. It's ma'am. All right, what do we got here? Make Gamza talk about which character can survive in 40k. Damn, you heavy weapons guy. What's up, dude? Good to see you here. Who else do we have? Anthron of Fire. Also, Gamza. Been busy working on my guardsman army with Gamza as the commissar for my. Oh, dude. Post it up on a Discord or something. Show us an image. That sounds pretty cool. What up, gamers? What's up, Frostfire? Damn, the whole crew's here. You guys never went to bed. Not much, man. Just talking about 40k. I should have brought my theme song on here. That'd have been great.
Oh, cool. Well, okay, everything is set up, so now you're not the 40k Empress anymore.
I've transitioned back to normal again.
Yeah, you transition. Yeah, you have superpowers. You transition whenever you want.
Exactly, the changer of ways.
I mean, by this point, by all means, nothing matters. It's like in the Acolyte. There's no good. There's no evil. Everything's the same. There's
Yep.
a force. Who cares?
There's no good or evil unless you're white. Then you're evil.
Oh yeah, of course. The double standard. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
And
That's the way it
white people
works.
only exist in America, and in the rest of the world, if they're white people, we don't talk about them. They're just there.
Yeah, exactly. Or like to try to say that white people have no culture or anything. It's just mindlessness is all it is at the end of the day.
Oh yes, yes. Excuse me, my country is ancient and it's next to Greece, but we don't have a culture. So yeah, I guess.
Exactly. Just over like it doesn't matter who it is. If you got 1,000 years of history, you could just throw that down the drain. Doesn't matter. Just no culture apparently.
Yeah, yeah,
Never mind all
because
the inventions and all the people that have come from there. It's like it's just stupid.
yeah, the internet and all of those things that we use every day, they just came from nowhere, probably from the rainbow
Hmm.
or something.
All those inventors, they were never white. Doesn't matter.
No, 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 no. Wait, Macedonian? Someone asked. No, Bulgarian. Bulgaria is also next to Greece. I mean, yeah, Macedonia is next to Greece. Macedonia is just like Bulgaria. Basically, they're Bulgarians. They think that they're not Bulgarians. That's a totally different topic. It's like, yeah, it's a long story. And then, of course, we have Romania, Serbia, all of that. We are all around those countries. Once we spread on 3 seas, so all of that territory was Bulgarian, but that was like, so ancient that we don't even have history, so there's that.
You'll have to put that on your History Empress channel.
Oh, no, there's history channels that deal with that, basically. That's just not what I can do, but yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of comments and they just distract me, guys. So we are going to respond to whatever we can, of course. But something that I can add to the first topic, should we allow other people to change 40k or any other universe? Well, our universe mostly is 40k, so of course I would say that they should just go and find something else to like, basically, and don't put stuff in it that just don't belong there. I mean, what the Astartes want to do all day is to just basically put flowers in their hair. Like, what the heck is this? Like, leave them
Exactly.
to be manly men, for goodness sakes.
You can't have that. They're all toxic.
Jesus.
Now they got to be toxic ma'ams.
Yeah, said the most toxic people ever, which is the
True.
irony,
Yep.
you know? Okay, guys, so second topic is what we most like to see brought to life on the big or small screen from Warhammer 40k, basically Amazon.
Oh, you talk about like a movie or a show?
Yeah, the Henry Cavill stuff.
What I would like to be brought onto the screen. That's a hard one. There's a lot of different cool things that you could put on the screen. Personally, I think something like Rin's World would be pretty cool. That was a really good book, or the Grey Knight Omnibus. I'm a fan of both of those books, and I think they play out a lot of really great characters. Probably not the Grey Knight Omnibus. That might be a little bit too difficult for people to really kind of maybe understand or get. Maybe it'd be a little too much for the beginning. But I think like Rin's World would be really cool with the Crimson Fists. That's when the orcs came and basically pretty much annihilated them. And then a big accident happened where this missile was going to be launched, but it exploded while it was inside like the shield or whatever, and it wiped out almost the entire chapter at that point. But there's also a great point in there with Pedro Cantor, where he's like a very poised leader. He can control himself, and then when he's fighting one of the big orc bosses, it's like for that moment with all the stress that he's under, he loses a bunch of his men. He just lets loose and just starts pummeling and just beating away at this orc, and it was pretty cool. So I think something like that would be epic. It also detailed around the guardsmen that they had on their planet, their civilians. There's just a lot of different aspects. They show humanity. They show the space marines. They even show one of the space marine scouts who disobeys an order. He fires at a orc leader and didn't realize that he had a force field on him. Probably giving away spoilers at this point. But because of that, it set off the war. And because he disobeyed that order, they eventually turn him into a servitor. They punish him for it. But something like that would be cool. I'd take that. What about you?
Very interesting. Well, I would like to see everything that is from the very beginning with the Emperor, basically how he became the Emperor, then the Unification Wars, everything that happened after that, the
Hmm.
destruction of the very first prototypes of the Astartes, you know, and then everything like that. And if we have a TV show, that's gonna be very, very possible because it's going to span thousands of years, and it just has
Yeah.
so much potential to show the Primars how they were born, and then the Horus Heresy is just gonna be amazing. So this is like the main storyline of 40k that I like to see. There's a lot of other, mini stories, of course, that are awesome in their own way. But the main meat of 40k, I think that is most important to be brought to life, and then you can branch out to anything else, really, whatever you like. And we have a
Gotcha.
super chat. Thank you very much for that, Bert Talk. He says, even if Games Workshop changes course, would you return? I think the era is over. Are the recent developments evidence that GW mask has slipped off? Can it ever be the same again? Well, thank you, Bert, for the super chat once again. I personally would say that we still have a chance to save whatever is happening now to GW, because in the same way that GW was turned to this side of things, to the woke side, in the same manner, we can also turn GW back to where it was. We just have to be vocal enough and consistent enough in our opinions. You can also write them an email, whatever you can do, really. We content create, we talk, all of those things that are voices out there could help. So I think that if we don't do that, then for sure we can just drop and say, okay, we lost. But why would we give up the fight? I mean, what kind of a Warhammer fans are we if we decide to just drop everything and leave it to the walk to eat it like vultures or something? Yeah, what do you think?
First off, what's up, Bird Talk? Good to see you here. I'm gonna say it's largely just in the hands of the company, and the only way that you're really going to hurt them is through their pocket. And so that's why I don't buy any of their products right now. I'm not buying any of their paints, their models, or anything else like that. That's obviously why I've gone with the 3D printing, because it's a lot easier to do it that way. You can still keep the hobby your own. You can still enjoy it. If it comes to books and stuff, I guess if there's like a particular story that people like, you can still indulge in that kind of a thing. Me personally, I've always seen it as I'll speak out against it because it's free. It doesn't put no money in their pocket. If anything, it takes money from their pocket. But at the same time, you can voice an opinion that I think needs to be said. You don't want an echo chamber out there, and that's very, very easy amongst these groups of people, where it turns into an echo chamber. Whether you go on like their Reddits, Discords, like you'll get banned so fast speaking out against any of these things. That's why I think it's also important that if you're going to speak out, you should do it on your own platform like YouTube. Or even if you make Twitter posts that get popular that pick up steam, like I think Chainsword 40K does on Twitter, that gains traction. As far as I know, he doesn't have a YouTube channel. But I think doing things in that manner is far more constructive, and you'll gain a lot more ground doing things through that way than you will just kind of like jumping on a Discord and just arguing with people and getting banned. Like, you're not going to get very far with that. Also, at the same time, I think people need to control their consumerism to a degree, because it's so easy for these people to get overhyped about things like, yeah, I don't like the direction that Games Workshop's going, but let me go buy, $100 or $300 worth of models on there. It's like, well, you're not really laying down anything at that point. So that's why I still advocate for 3D printing. So overall, I would say that if Games Workshop changes course, or if they could, it would have to be through the company. I don't think the fans are going to do too much other than if you speak out and then you start hurting them in their pocket, then they'll probably listen. But until then, you're probably not going to get too far because they have enough whales to keep them afloat. And they also have enough shills too. If you look at the top Warhammer 40K channels, just got to be honest with you, most of them are shills. They're just in it for the hype train, so to speak. They're just in it for the clicks and the views. I don't. This is just my personal opinion. I don't think they're all that big of fans of 40K, or if they are more like buttermilk bobs. They're more about consumerism than anything else. But that's just my personal opinion. I'll drop it
Yeah,
at that.
like this girl where she posted the other day about the orcs from D&D, how the orcs from 40K should be like the orcs from D&D. And then it turns out that this is a huge troll and she was just kidding, but it was on purpose so it will get people to get angry and make videos. And that is exactly what happened. And I'm happy that I saw this, that it was a troll before I also, got on the train because that was totally on purpose. So, yeah, I mean,
Gotcha.
people like her on Twitter and other people that are the opposite of Chainsaw, basically, they're like, oh, look at how much GW made for this past quarter or whatever. But as far as I know, those numbers are based on everything that happened before the custodies happened. So before 2 months ago. So we don't actually know after what happened with the custodies if they actually have some kind of a dent in their profits or not. So we have to wait and see. But for now,
Yeah.
the Wokes are like, yeah, yeah, they actually win more and get woke, go broke doesn't exist and all of that. But we'll see after a few months.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people. Again, I was very surprised to even see how far that female custodies thing even went, because once I seen them release that statement saying that you won't be missed and that we're going to continue to forcefully diversify our cast, and then if you don't like it, that's too bad, you won't be missed, kind of thing. Then you had the Warhammer adventures. This was back in like 2016 when a lot of this stuff was coming out. I thought people would be outraged about that. They didn't give a damn. They just skimmed right over that. And then once all this new stuff starts coming out, legit, I was surprised people even gave a shit because I'm like, they've been saying this stuff for years. Like, how is it a surprise? So, but we'll see. I still think they took a hit. I don't think it was enough of a hit though.
Yeah, I think that the times are different. I mean, the times are changing. What was in 2016, now people are a bit more aware of what the heck's happening.
Yeah,
So, because a lot of people were normies before, but now they're active in this and they're against this. So I think that just is the amount of people that are waking up or already woke up since then, and that's the difference. So maybe, just maybe, there's gonna be a bit better this time. We'll see. We'll see though.
yeah. I do think that they will walk more carefully now though, because once they've seen that outrage at that, I think they're gonna go, okay, let's walk a little bit softer. I think they're still walking in the same direction. They're just gonna go a little bit slower. They understand that there's certain topics that they don't want to touch, but I think they can get away with a hell of a lot more when it comes to space marine characters, whether they're into like their little fetishes or something, or whether it be guardsmen, where they're going to introduce characters that are, swing a certain way, or maybe they swing every way. I think that I could see that a little bit more often because I don't think people care too much about the guardsmen overall when it comes to their characters because it's like, oh yeah, well, humanity is so large, who cares about these little characters over here? But if you touch, let's say, the custodies, there's only so many of them and they have pretty much already been established. So let's not go in that direction. But I still feel like if they're going to come out with guardsman novels or games or anything else like that, they could easily slip that underneath the rug. And I just don't imagine people getting outraged over that. Like, let's say they create a new guardsman character and he comes out as he swings all ways, he's bisexual, whatever. Um, I don't think people would care too much. I think they would be like, "Oh, that's kind of cringy," but I don't think they would care too much. But if you did that with like, let's say Marnius Calgar or Gilliman, I think people would be more upset about that because those are more established characters. So I think that's the direction they're going to continue going. And then same thing with like D&D, where they start to implement things in their rules or things in their rule books. I think they'll do that as well. I could see that. But I think on the main prominent things, they'll be a little bit more careful on.
Well, if they change any sexuality of Gilliman, man who does not have one, basically, because he doesn't care about anything, it's connected to having a relationship with a woman or whoever, or Maonia's Kaugar is the same thing. I mean, then everybody are going to be outraged because once again, it's a breaking of the lore. Those people don't have interest in such things, and
Right.
that's it. Full stop.
Right. But that's
Okay.
why I say the door's still open when it comes to guardsmen or even chaos.
Oh
Oh,
Jesus!
he's
I mean,
corrupted, you know.
you can always write that Slaanesh makes people bang 24/7 in a horrible ways. But that will be totally in the lore. Whereas Gilliman turning gay or something is not, or even liking women is gonna be outraging, totally out there anything.
What? You don't want them to establish the Urvain fetish?
What fetish?
Urvain, the one that resurrected him, helped resurrect him from his pod?
No? Why would I want that? Jesus. It never even slips my mind such things. I mean, that's why. I mean, one of the things that I really love about 40K is that there is almost no sexual things in it. And if you
Yeah,
want to look for them, you really have to look for them. And they're going to be associated mostly with Slaanesh. It's very rare that you see any scene that is depicting anything that has to do with romantic love or, any sexual relationship. So to me, that's like a breath of fresh air because I don't need that in this universe. I don't really need it in any universe. I'm okay. But I
I
have
agree.
enough of that in Game of Thrones, so.
Even Game of Thrones was too much after a while. I was like, this is just getting. Now it felt like they were just putting in there just for the sake of doing it, and I didn't like that. But one
Yeah,
thing that I'll touch on real quick is that I actually think that a lot of the memes in some ways have kind of ruined 40K to an extent, like with the whole Slaanesh thing. They play up on Slaanesh as just like orgies and sex and stuff, and it's like no, it's the god of excess. This also includes eating, drug abuse, all this other stuff. But it's like they can only focus on this one meme part, and then that's what it's all known for. So whenever people talk about Slaanesh, it's the only thing that gets brought up. So I think that memes have kind of ruined it to an extent on that because nobody wants to talk about the rest of the stuff.
well, that
But
is
I'll let you continue
because,
because I see we got a super chat.
yeah, thank you. That is because when it comes to sex, people always think about that first. So that is why.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
think about eating that much. They will think about the sex first and then eating like a pig. So there's that. Okay, Matt Hatter, thank you so much for the super chat. Go look up MNG. He was just on Side Scrollers GW suing him for limitless damages for his 3D models that were inspired by fantasy. What? But there's so many people that already have that. Well, I don't know the situation, so I'm gonna research.
Yeah. I've spoken with E-Man. I've known him for a bit now. I have a pretty good idea of everything that's going on, but I don't really want to release too much because it was mainly about, it was in private messages, so I don't want to give away anything. But I'll just say that, yeah, he's kind of hurting right now. So I let him put up some, he asked me if he could put up some, I think it was GoFundMe is what it was on my Discord. I said, go for it because he needs all the help that he could get. So it's a bad situation right now.
Jesus. Okay. I hope that things get better because I don't know, that kind of seems ridiculous, but you know what happened, so I'm not gonna assume anything. And by the way, Chainsaw does have a YouTube channel,
Oh,
but
he does. Okay.
he's not yet started making content. He plans maybe. I know just a little bit, so
Hmm.
hopefully he will say something eventually. It's just a hard period for him, but yeah, he does want to be more active and fight this thing.
That's cool. That'd be cool to see.
Indeed. Okay, so those are some interesting comments, guys. Bert says, I'm okay with sexuality in the stories as long as it suits the story. The Fulgrim book was having sexual themes, but it had a purpose at least. Oh, yeah, well, that's one of my favorite books, and I don't remember anything that was in my face or anything like that. It was just very, very subtle and it's just implications, like I'm implying that this is happening or that the fulcrum has tendencies to something, but it's never like, ooh, an orgy scene right now. There's no
Yeah,
such
I
thing.
think that's better to do it that way.
Oh, yeah, I mean, who needs to?
It's
You
just like
can see that.
it's just like in movies where you can imply that two people are going to sleep with each other, but you don't have to show it.
Exactly. some taste. I mean, even Henry Cavill said that. Like it was maybe a few months ago to a year. He was like, I don't understand sex scenes, or I don't think that they're necessary, and they really have to fit into the story context. There has to be meaning behind them, something like that.
Yeah.
He said along those lines, and yeah, of course, because that is very overused, and it robs it of all meaning. It's just for shock value or something. Like in the last episode of House of the Dragon, have you seen it? Do you watch House of the Dragon?
I have not.
But did you see Game of Thrones at least?
Yes, I did. I'd seen Game of Thrones.
Okay, well, why don't you watch House of the Dragon then?
Um, I don't know. I think I just kind of like lost interest in Game of Thrones in general. Towards like those last few seasons, I was like, man, this is going downhill pretty bad. So I just kind of lost interest in it.
Well, the last season was under every critic possible, yeah, like we say here, but it's a solid show. It's a solid show. If you like what you saw in Game of Thrones, you probably like it. It's a bit slower, but it's fine. But anyway, they try to avoid super shocking stuff, but like in the last episode, we saw like full frontal two times at least. And one was I can't even say it. I never seen such a thing on a TV show actually. I don't remember, but yeah, it was a plus 18 something for 2 seconds, and I was like, "Mm, what is that?" Oh Jesus Christ, they went there. Okay, so yeah, I didn't expect that. Never seen that. Neither in Game of Thrones or any other show actually. So
Hmm.
I don't
Okay,
know
I
if
didn't
you
know it
can
went that
guess what
far
that
now.
is. Okay, boobs. Someone wrote boobs. Gamza, watch House of the Dragon, or you won't be missed.
Yeah, probably. What's up, Luca?
Jesus. Okay, guys, so we have a third topic, and I did a video about that a few days ago, actually. What makes the universe of 40K so compelling? So, to you, what is special about it?
Uh, what I fell in love with it for originally was how grim dark it was. I loved it. It allowed your imagination to run wild. And with that, it was you had these great images that were all black and white. It showed these huge battles that were going on, and all it made you do was ask more questions. What's going on? Like, how would you even survive a war like this? What kind of other terrors are out there, so to speak? And because of that, the universe feels so much larger than it really is, I would say. And I think that's what makes Warhammer 40K great. And I think the more that you expand the lore, so to speak, there's not necessarily a wrong to do that, but it's how they do it. Like, let's say with the Primaris Marines, I think that was expanding the lore in a way that was unnecessary. It was more of like a shoehorn of new lore into it. Oh, by the way, there's these dudes that have been locked up, and this guy's been trying to make spacier Space Marines the whole time. I think that becomes lazy writing. I think stuff like the Necrons, in my opinion, I actually really enjoyed the older Necrons because the Catan seemed so ridiculous, so strong that they enslaved an entire race and wiped out basically the old ones and the enslavers. Like they did so much stuff back then. You had Catans that were just eating worlds, they were eating suns. It's crazy. And then it's like now they're reawakening. How is the Imperium of Man going to survive this? This seems impossible. And then they just throw all that out the window and they're like, oh, by the way, they rebelled against the Catan. They're all shards. They're no longer slaves, and they just skip around and talk in English accents now. And I'm like, I think that just lowers the value of the lore, in my opinion. Now, I won't say that it wasn't popular. It's very popular, the new Necrons. But personally, I didn't fall in love with the Necrons for that reason. Because some dude walks around with an English accent collecting things, I'm just like I don't get behind it, and it just starts to become less and less grim dark in my opinion. So when it comes to 40K, that's what it'd have to be: the grim darkness, the mystery inside the universe. It just makes it feel a lot larger.
Okay, well, expand a bit more for me on the Primaris because, as far as I know, the idea behind them is that they are supposed to supplement the other Astartes, and Belisarius Cole and Gilliman decided to do that to help basically the army. So, how do you think that in terms of lore does not fit and is not very good or interesting. Yeah, when it comes to overall 40K and how the Astartes are, basically.
Okay, one of the ways that I would do it is let's take Dark Angels for example. Dark Angels are very secretive, And anybody that knows about their past shame, the fact that they had traitors, they'll hunt you down and they'll kill you, and they protect those secrets to no end. This idea that you're going to have, like, the whole point of the chapter is to be hyper suspicious and basically paranoid at this point. So this idea that you have Dark Angel, Primaris Marines that they're going to supplement and give to the chapter. If you really read the lore behind the Dark Angels, I would have expected them to start hunting and killing those Primaris Marines, not to sit there and be like, "Oh, wait, you never trained with us. You really don't know our whole history. Hey, come on in. Let me tell you how we have traitors amongst our ranks." I just think that's really lore breaking at that point. Same thing with the Space Wolves. The Space Wolves don't bend the knee to people like that. And this idea of like, hey, do you want some Primaris Marines? Oh yeah, sure. I think the Space Wolves probably would have killed them too, because it's like, no, 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 we didn't recruit you. You were just made on our behalf, so to speak, which I think is just silly. Not to mention this idea of like, improving on the Emperor's work, something that was supposed to be more of a mystery. And it also, I think it goes against somewhat of this grim darkness, where it was humanity is getting attacked from all angles and things just are not looking too good. Now it's like, oh, by the way, we have like new spacier space marines and everybody gets them. And now your old space marines get updated to the new space marines. And so it's like now you can just start mass producing space marines almost at this point. You've essentially like doubled to tripled your Astartes ranks. It just gets kind of ridiculous in my opinion. So that's why I say that it's not as grim dark. It's like, oh no, here's this what do they call it, the Deus Ex Machina, where it's like this last moment thing that just changes the whole story. It's like the great break kind of a thing, and that's why I didn't like the Primaris Marines. I felt it was too shoehorned.
Hmm. Interesting. Really, I have to think about that. Actually.
One thing I will say, if it was new armor, I think that would have made more sense. So if they were saying, hey, we have this new armor set and we're giving them out to the chapters and it's up to them to accept it, that would make more sense. But it's the fact that it's like, oh no, we've been growing these test tube babies for a long time. You've never trained them. You don't know any of them, but you're going to welcome them as your brother, as if you knew them your whole life, and tell them all your chapter secrets. I'm like, that's just crazy to me.
Well, there was a new novel, well, kind of new. It's like 1 year old by this point, where they basically took the Jesus, not the Imperial Fists, the Black Templars, yes, and they put Primaris into their ranks. And there was a whole thing and a conflict, and then it was like treason because they started fighting each other, and even some Black Templars killed Primaris. So it became this huge thing of proving themselves. I mean, the Primaris, there's very interesting dialogue there. Well, what to tell, they did try to make it make sense. To make
I
it
got
make
you.
sense, yeah. But there's a lot to think about here because there's some moving parts in this story and the idea of it. And yeah, I understand that the emperor is supposed to be the one um, to know the secrets, and then Belisarius Cole comes and he has other ideas and he has the knowledge of the emperor to some extent, but also he is developing his own technology, which is also actually explored in one of the newer novels. And he wants to help the Imperium by breaking the rules, basically. And Gilliman is trying to enable him and somehow still keep the rules. I mean, there's even some things that Belisarius is hiding from Gilliman. It's it's
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting though. I mean, the way that they've written this, it's pretty curious. So at least they're trying to make this well, yeah, I mean to for you to get some kind of a curiosity going on and to make it really make sense within the current situation of the Imperium. Let's say that. And then you have not Belisarius Cole, sorry, Fabius Bau, who is meddling into all of that, and he has his own things that he made, and he wants to recreate humanity. So it's like, well,
Yeah.
chaos in its own place, basically. Yeah.
See, I thought Fabius Bile was a more interesting character because obviously he's able to get away with a lot more experimentation because he doesn't have the rules of the Imperium over him or different chapters. So, and if you think about it, a lot of the Chaos Space Marines, they're incredibly old. And so, in order to replenish your ranks from these wars, you would have to go to somebody like Fabius Bile in order to go get more. Marines from him, essentially, more clones, if you will. I mean, this is a dude that basically cloned Horus, and Abaddon went in there and slaughtered the thing. So it's cool to see characters like that experiment and create essentially abominations. But the idea that you're just gonna have Belisarius Cull come in here and like, oh yeah, by the way, he's always existed. It's like, yeah, okay. That's just stuff that I don't like too much when they start revealing characters and it becomes the same way that they wrote the lore for the female custodies. They've always been around. Didn't you know that? And it's like, well, obviously not because you never mentioned this character. It's like, oh, now we did. They've always been female, and Call's always been in the middle of the Mars, like just creating thousands of Primaris Marines. So that's why I just look at it and I'm like, yeah, let's tone this down just a little bit. How about that? I did read the great works that has to do with Belisarius Call as well. I think they're alluding to him wanting to turn on those I forgot what they were called. It's like those black towers that basically block out the warp that originally the Necrons had created.
Pylons?
So yeah, the Necron pylons. But I want to say if they're actually going to allude to him turning that on and blocking out the warp, that sounds more interesting to me because he's going to kill a lot of psychers doing that.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's in the same book that I've mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, and it's very interesting because there could be some other worlds there, some black holes, some like uncharted territory basically. So it's very interesting. And there's also one Primaris Marine that's different from everyone else. And I don't want to spoil it, but whoever read the
Oh, I know
book,
he's like, yeah.
yeah, that's also so cool. I mean, I really enjoyed this book. So I don't know if it's written in a very compelling way, which this book was, at least to me. Maybe they can make something good out of it. Yeah.
Kind of random, maybe perhaps a little off topic.
Yeah, I
I
know.
used to get into a lot of I used to get into a lot of debates when it came to people on the new Primaris Marines, and they're talking about how tough and like almost impossible to kill they are. And what I liked about that book was one of the Primaris Marines that got sliced in the chest by a gene stealer, and it was specifically mentioned that no vital organs were damaged, yet he still almost died from that. And I'm like, wait, what? Like no vital organs were hit on this Primaris Marine, and the dude almost died. He had to shut down and go into like a stasis in order to live. But I thought that was funny. But anyways, we'll continue somewhere else.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to get your opinion about Primaris because it's
Yeah.
interesting and I haven't gotten the chance to talk about that with anyone. Because I'm more sometimes, towards some storylines and characters, I'm more accepting of new things as long as they're like integrated in the lore. And because I don't have exactly the tabletop perspective every time, for me, Primaris look very interesting because I just love upgrading things. But
Yeah.
that's kind of,
I think
my thing.
Yeah, I think it would have made way more sense if it was primarily the Ultramarines and the people who were strictly adhering to the Codex Astartes to accept them because it was an order given by Gilliman, so to speak. But I think it would have made a lot more sense if it was causing a huge civil war, if you will, amongst the Space Wolves, the Dark Angels, and even the Black Templar. If it caused a bigger rift amongst those brethren, so to speak, I think that would have made more sense. But this idea that everyone's like, oh, we never recruited you? Hey, come on in. Let me tell you all my secrets. I'm like, no, there's no way. Like the Dark Angels would have slaughtered you. There's no way. But that's one reason why I didn't like it. But anyways, no need to repeat.
Oh, okay, so then next topic, fourth topic, guys, is sci-fi universe or a fantasy world with dragons, swords, and shields. Which is more interesting and why?
Sci-fi. Sci-fi, I think you get a lot more. You can make a much bigger universe, so to speak. With fantasy, you're kind of limited to just like one world. Maybe there's like a portal that you can go into that takes you to a new world, kind of a thing. But I think with sci-fi in general, you have different technology. You can have different aliens and creatures. You can have different worlds. You could have different galaxies. And I think it just opens up way more. Plus, I like the feel of sci-fi a lot more.
Okay, well, I'm always torn between the two things because one of my most favorite thing in the world, as you know, is Warrior Princess, which means that, that's the
Mm,
just the
yeah.
fantasy side. But then I do love everything that has to do with space and technology as well. So it's like, yeah, you're right that when it comes to sci-fi, it opens a lot more. You can have unlimited storylines and worlds and universes. But when it's like down to earth as well, when you have the swords, the shield, the little quests here and there, and doing
Yeah.
something meaningful for the small folk, killing dragons. Yeah, it's kind of like
I mean, you can
you.
still get some great stories from it. You
Yeah,
definitely can.
I mean, you can always, you always can, but at least from everything that I have seen so far from sci-fi, when it comes to, Star Wars, Star Trek, and 40K and other stuff, Stargate even, it's like sometimes, writers that love to write for the sci-fi, they don't get too deep into meaning and wisdom and such things. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
yes, with the Force, but it's still a bit of a surface level when you have like swords and shield stories and all that. You can really tell something that's really, really deep and wise, and just to get into whole another level of thinking and philosophy. So that is maybe like the most difference that I at least have seen. Otherwise, you can have amazing stories in both universes. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree because one thing too that I would say is from a production standpoint, I also think it's a lot more difficult to even make good sci-fi shows or movies because you normally have a much larger budget that goes into those special effects and stuff. And I do agree with you too, though, that with that, I've noticed that writing tends to suffer more on sci-fi. I'm not sure if it's a budget thing because a lot of the budget goes into special effects as well as, what kind of writers that you can get. But one thing that I don't like too is they always try to put like a new age type spin, or they take 2024 or whatever the current year is, and they try to inject that into, 2, 3, 4, 500 years into the future. And I'm like, can we stop with this? Like, I'm not sure with Star Trek, like Discovery, it all just feels soulless. Even the environments of the ship, they try to make it super fancy. They try to make all the computers all fancy and all that. And I'm like, this just looks dead. It doesn't even look like an environment that you would live on. It looks over the top done. And then the acting, the writing, there's no philosophy behind any of it other than just what we say is good and what you think is bad. It just becomes a propaganda mill, and nobody wants to watch that. That's why those shows fail all the time. Same thing with Picard. They came out with Picard. They're trying to change the Borg. The Borg Queen is around. They have Seven of Nine. She's just a lesbian now. I'm like, it's. I'm like, of course it is. So that's why I think with sci-fi, it tends to suffer more from the modern audience idea than it does like with fantasy. Fantasy, there's only so much you can get away with because everybody knows what it was back in the medieval types of days. There was more of an order, you got your knights, you got your king, etc. But then when it comes to sci-fi, the future, now it's like anything's game. We can just turn it into whatever we want. So I do appreciate sci-fi more, but I think it's a lot more difficult to make it actually good. It's way harder.
Yeah, unless the main characters are in search for the meaning of life or something. It's really like, well, this is an alien and this is an alien. Hi, it's you, hi, it's you. Are we going to make war? Oh, maybe yes. Weapons and shields, guys. Weapons and shields. Something like that.
Yep.
You can't really get to a lot of deeper storylines here sometimes. And Lady Runesong is here. She says, "Oh damn, I'm late. Hope you're both having a good week, Empress and Gamza." Ah, thank you so much. Oh,
Always.
always glad to have you here. Okay, do you like to get into some of the comments real quick?
Sure.
I
Fire
did
away.
saw some interesting comments, guys. We can't obviously read everything, but I did want to address something. Hold on. Okay, so Bird says, I'm okay with sexuality in the stories as long as it suits the story. Yeah, I read that. Okay, Lucas says, I don't think they will make a decent movie for 40K or even something really impactful. The only thing they will do is changing the sex of the big characters and make them all boss girls. I hope that that's not true, Luca. I mean, it doesn't really make any freaking sense. They can try to change one, but, everyone, that's over the top even for them, I think.
Didn't you know Gilliman was always a girl?
Ah, the girliest girl ever. Jesus. Uh, Eckert says, I kind of don't want to have any changes that can alienate the fans or mess with the lore. Of course not. Of course not. Okay, so GW hates competition. They love copying other brands and ideas, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Eckhart says GW is kind of a fool sometimes. They shoot themselves in the foot many times over. What I cannot get over is that they yet their own fan-made things that they try to change the lore on the fly. Yeah,
Yeah.
although it's kind of ridiculous when you have so many writers working for them, and if one screws up something, it's going to be screwed up for a long time. It's hard to fix, they really have to be careful with that. Okay, we know about House of the Dragon, and Bjorn
Speaking on that
says,
real quickly though,
hmm?
when you mentioned the writers, I think one of the big issues too is it's like half their writers are basically activists too. And I think that's where you really let the enemy in to just change things to what they want it to be.
Yeah, well, at least half and the other half are like at least okay, you know.
Yeah, give me more of them.
Mm. Well, it's kind of sad because I found out that the guy that wrote Fulgrim was now super mega woke. And I'm like, hey, Fulgrim was a great book. What the heck happened? Yeah.
Maybe you, wait, when did that book come out?
Oh, it's one of the first Horus Heresy books, so probably 8 years ago.
Okay, that's probably why. That's probably why
Yeah,
it's decent.
100%. It was, I don't know, Dan Abnett mentioned that he started to write Horus Heresy 20 years ago. If that's
Sounds
correct,
about right.
probably Fulgrim is around there in terms of years.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so
It only seems
Bjorn,
like in the last like what 6 to 8 years is when things really started getting out of control.
yeah. Okay, so Bjorn says Spartacus, both series, had full frontal and was also gory. Jesus Christ, have you seen Spartacus?
My friend tried to get me into it. I watched like one of the episodes, and there was like I don't know who it was. It was like some girl in there, and it very clearly you could tell that she had like implants done. And I was like, dude, I don't want to watch this shit. I was like, this is it. Just I wasn't interested.
Let me tell you what happened with me then.
Okay.
Spartacus is very, very painful topic because I started watching it before just because Lucy Lawless was there, Xena was there.
Oh,
Her
okay. I didn't know
husband,
that.
Rob Tappert, that also worked on Xena, he's one of the creators, worked on there, but the showrunner was totally different. He had nothing to do with Xena, as far as I know. And he was the guy that had the crazy ideas to put endless amounts of blood and gore and to copy 300 and all those things. But he did it completely distastefully to the point where every other shot was either someone's guts or you see two guys banging in a cell, and it's like, just two people are talking, and the next scene the camera just pans like that uh, in a few cells, and you get one guy again from Xena, an actor from Xena that looks like a chieftain of a tribe or something. He looks really epic anyway, but even more so, I mean, that makes even shocking more shocking the scene because he was banging another guy. and
It's nasty.
and you're like, what am I even watching? And the most disgusting thing out of everything was that Spartacus himself, he was made to do all the horrible things that you can imagine, but he was supposed to be feeling very sad for his wife this whole time. So he is very, very sad throughout this series. We found out that she is being, by countless of men, and in the
Oh, of
same
course.
time, he's like, "Hey, Spartacus, do this woman." He's like, "Okay." Then, "Hey, Spartacus, do the next woman." Fine, great. So he's doing all the women possible, and he's getting erections like that on the just, yeah. He's done, he's ready. And everybody are like that. They are so depressed and so sad, but they're begging everyone, and it's, because they're telling them to. So it was pretty
Yeah.
much disgusting, and it was very disingenuous and artificial the way that the show was presented, and people are like, "Yay, Spartacus, the spectacle." I'm like, do you have some kind of a, I don't know, like, I mean, lack of cynicism or moral compass? I don't know what to tell you because there's so many shows and movies that we have seen, and such time periods have been done very, very tastefully, at least to some extent,
Yeah.
never to that extent. So, yeah, there was full frontal, they were wearing prosthetics, and the women also were wearing, yeah, prosthetics down there, basically.
It's all
Wigs.
just ridiculous. That's why, like, when I seen that one girl had like implants or something, that's all I was like, what? I was like, it's very clear like what's going on here, and it also like, didn't this take place way back then? Why do they have like modern technology built into their body at this point? I was like, this, I don't even want to watch this. That's why my friend was like, "What?" He's like, "You're afraid of a little bit of blood and guts." I'm like, "Dude, that has nothing to do with it." I was like, I'm not gonna watch this shit. I'm glad.
Oh,
I'm not, now that you tell me all this, I'm glad I did not watch it.
yeah. I mean, I felt like somebody wounded my soul or something because you do feel like somebody tries to um well force something on you, like really you do feel like some kind of a violence is upon you. That's how this show is made. It's supposed to make you feel extremely uncomfortable, unsettling, and just disgusted within your soul, but also if you're a freak of some sort, you're supposed to feel super enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, it's for degenerates.
I'm sorry to say, but only people in real life that I knew that are really simpletons were able to like that show and enjoy it, enjoy the violence and all the, things that I can't even
It's
say
like
on YouTube.
mindlessness.
Yeah, exactly. Where's the meaning? Where's the like? Spartacus loves his wife. How he does that? He's just crying from time to time, but the rest of the time he's like banging everyone without any issues at all, just because he's commanded to do so. And then freedom. Okay, that totally does not have any meaning now. Thank you so much, for
I'm
this.
surprised they didn't have him jumping on top of dudes.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, horrible. And the only thing that I'm gonna say, what really made me quit very, very fast, because the only reason that I wanted to see this is to just watch Lucy Lawless in something, because it's not like she's everywhere. She was
Gotcha.
always accepting particular roles only. So when I saw her in this role, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I have seen her play evil characters before in Xena as well, and she's doing an amazing job. And that's the problem, because she played Lucretia, which is the most evil character that you I can't even imagine. I mean, Cruella de Vil looks like an angel compared to this woman. So in one scene, she made another woman smash another woman's head on the marvel basically, and then they showed the head from up close, and this was the worst thing that I ever seen. I can only compare it to the movie The Ring. If you watch that,
Okay.
it's
I have
just
not watched that one though.
well, it's this
Just
the
over the top gore.
horrible, just horrible smash face. You never seen such thing shown this way. The way that they show things, they linger on it, the camera, that is just disgusting and demeaning and all of that. So I have like a limit and some kind of a taste, so I will not accept anything that's Spartacus level. So there's that.
Understandable.
Okay, I am ended. I end my Spartacus rant. And hi to everybody actually in the chat. Oh, some old guys are here as well. Ash versus, oh, Quinn is here. Ash versus the Evil Dead for Great Lucy Lawless and Bruce Campbell show. Ah, yeah, also extremely disgusting, but at least it's funny. If you've seen Ash versus the Evil Dead, yeah.
I seen just a few of the first episodes, but that was it.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of craziness in there is crazy, but it's crazy. The crazy is crazy, but at least you see that everything's like prosthetics and so
Yeah, personally, like if it's got a lot of nudity and stuff in there, like the violence doesn't bother me too much. It's mainly just like the distasteful nudity. I'm normally like, I'm out. Like I'm gonna skip on this because I just
also.
think most of the time it's over the top. It's distasteful. It's more like shock value, and I'm like, if this is what I really came to see, that's free on the internet. But I'm not interested in that. I came here to watch like an actual good show.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to watch, if you want to lose weight, just watch Ash and Evil Dead, because you'll never want to eat. After that, I mean, Rick and Bruce Campbell was in a corpse's ass, literally
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I
coming
do
out
remember
of
that.
his front side. I can't, I can't even. Who who thinks about those things? Those people are not okay.
Yep. It's like they're trying to put their fantasies on display. It's like I don't know what you guys are into. Maybe you guys are doing rituals before you start filming. I have no idea.
Jesus. And Bird says Spartacus is an example of how modern shows suffer from bad writer trying to copy Game of Thrones' success. Yeah. I mean, at least Game of Thrones have substance and good writing. for the most part. That's why it's
Didn't
continuing for so long.
didn't Spartacus come out before Game of Thrones? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, it's by this point it's a very old show. It had like a continuation after that. Unfortunately, the actor who played Spartacus died. Then they
Oh, he
had to
did.
replace him. Yeah, he died. Yeah, that was not good. Uh, s- so yeah, but something that he said. Uh, ah, yes. So he said bad writing, and I wrote on Twitter. And back then I didn't even use Twitter, but for that particular thing, I went and wrote to the writer of the show, to the showrunner, and I was like, "What are you doing, man? This is so horribly distasteful," and so on. And he's like, "Ah, how dare you? You just go and watch something else." And I'm like, he replied, amazing.
He said,
Yeah.
"How dare you?"
I'm like, I don't know how Rob Tappert, Lucy Lawless' husband, can stand for this and watch his wife being in her boobs all the time, doing stuff to other men all the time in the show.
Wait, Lucy Lawless was doing that?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that she was going that far. Damn.
yeah, she was doing well, and boobs and everything. And I mean, my
That's wild.
childhood is ruined. My Xena, okay. Uh,
She became lawless.
yeah, okay. At least she does not do such things anymore. Jesus. Well, she's actually a huge activist, and it's not good.
Oh no.
Yeah, in real life, it's horrible. Evil Dead is classic 80s dark humor and horror. Yeah, well, just watch that from the 80s then, because in the new show they just go. I mean, the old show it's disgusting, but the new show, I mean, the old movies, but the new it's even more disgusting times 10.
It's over the top, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, now if you like, we can just go quickly in free for all and discuss some other topics. Yeah, like you had a very interesting topic the other day that I tried to tune in the chat about
Oh,
women and guys and something.
hmm.
Do you
Maybe it was
remember?
about date culture?
Ah, yeah, the date culture. So yeah, what can you tell us
Yeah.
about that? It was fun.
I don't like date culture. I think date culture ruins people in general. I think this idea that you're just gonna like hook up, get with people, I think it ultimately degrades society overall. So that's why I was saying that whenever it comes to men and women, I think women in particular should be married off by their fathers. I think that's a lot better than hookup culture where you're trying to discover yourself and then you end up being in your 30s to 40s and now you want to settle down after the football team has ran you through and it's just like why? Like I think that's just too much. I think
What
it's
does
too
it
much.
mean to be married off by your father?
I think your father should pick your husband for you because your father knows what a good man is. And instead of you having to discover yourself, he should basically go, no, this is somebody who will take care of you. You will be a helper unto him, and then you will be married off, and then you guys can enjoy your life, rather than it turning into something like I just want to discover myself, and that turns into like let me go sleep with the football team, and then in my late 30s, early 40s or something, now it's going to turn off into okay, now I'm ready to settle down. I've discovered myself, and it's like discovered yourself. You ruined yourself, as the way I look at it. And I think it does the same thing to men. Date culture ruins men as well. I think this idea that you've got to get with a girl and like I know some friends were like this where they felt like they had to sleep with a woman or they felt like they were losers. And it's like I got to lose my virginity. And I'm like, you guys are desperate, and you don't know what it means to be a man if that's the direction that you think that you have to go. And you need to basically man up. You need to become more mature and not out here chasing people like a hound dog. I think it's just it degrades society as an overall.
I'm shocked, honestly, by what you're telling me because I am a dating coach as
Yep.
well and a specialist, and I'm actually teaching guys how to have a successful relationship.
Mm.
So basically,
What would you?
everything that you said, um, you're basically skipping over a ton of other facts that could be in play here. So you
Sure.
don't have to do the whole thing with the dad because, I mean, my dad is not as wise as I am, in my case. He's a
Okay.
intelligent guy, but I have such an experience and made so many strives in terms of what I've learned and all of that. It's just I'm a different kind of a person. We're not the same person. So I have reached a certain level of understanding and wisdom, really, which he never did. He just has a lot more regular life. He does not have interests like I do, and his life is just totally different than mine in general. He's just a totally different person. So he has a perfect relationship with my mom, and they are a very good example for me, for a very good couple. It's great. It's amazing. That's very, very rare. And I understand all of that and the psychology behind that and other things that you both have to possess. I mean, the man and the woman, in order for you to be compatible. So if you just take this concept and apply it to my dad will pick some guy that I will throw up 5 times in my in my head, that I don't have. Uh, if I have to count on his taste, then I will totally miss on the people that I have been with and learned things along the lines. I mean, I have learned with them, they have learned with me, and all of that. So this basically robs me of an experience that is pretty priceless. And now I can teach other people how to uh, basically either not be hurt in similar ways, how to pick people, how to know the signs of certain things that people give off in terms of their character, whether they're going to be compatible, how to know your own feelings and what you really want. Those are things that are actually pretty simple, but nobody realizes that because everyone, because of the date culture, they actually get on the train of how things should be done according to everyone else, but everyone else don't think. They just don't think about anything. They just well, basically, like my friends used to be, they're like, we have to have boyfriends because that's what everyone are doing. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if those boyfriends are quality guys, we don't care. It's like, if they're okay, they're okay. But if they're not okay, we're going to endure and take all the crap that we can just because we're not going to be alone. So that is a very bad mentality, and some guys also do it in their own way. So from the very beginning, actually from school, I started to see those things and how those things transpire. And I'm like, okay, talking to one of my friends, this guy is treating you very badly. Why are you with him? And she's like, it's better because I'm not going to be single. And I'm like, is that bad to be single? You just work on yourself, become a better person, develop some skills, learn some stuff. And
Yeah.
eventually, some guy will do the same, and you can. I mean, that's how it happens. Eventually, you do grow, and some other, from the opposite sex, some person is also growing. You meet, there's a relationship there. Maybe you don't succeed in that relationship, but you do learn stuff. Then you get to another one. You're a lot better because of the previous relationship. You have some kind of a other advanced, more better relationships, but then other stuff happen. You learn what else can happen in life, and then eventually, I mean, that's not the case with everyone, but that is what it can happen. Eventually, you meet the one person that also grew as much as you did, and maybe it lacks something that you have, and you can basically fill that gap, but you're also a complete person and can be by yourself, and that other person is also a complete person that can be by themselves, but together just become like a very good unit that really helps each other. So it's not like I'm taking from you and you from me. It's more like true partnership that is based on respect and love, and just one appreciates the quality of the other, and harmony is achieved. So that is how it is in some cases. In other cases, people just marry very early and they find the perfect match right away. That is like 1% of people. It does happen. So it's a lot. It's very different. It's just very individual. So because we are all individuals, each and every case of your life, this person's life, whatever, it has to be taken as it is to analyze what is happening with you and with your partners. Where are your mistakes so far, and what you can prove going forward, and so on. I mean, really, there are some guys that are desperate. They're like without girlfriends for 3 years, but they take this time to learn about themselves, to to just become better, like go to the gym, learn to train, learn to be healthier, whatever that they did lack before. And then all of a sudden things happen, they do meet a girl that is for them. So you can say from one hand, yeah, that's kind of like fate, like how life does work in a positive way, but that is really how it happens. I have seen it a lot of times. I've seen the bad side, when you actually just go blind and do stupid things and you don't listen to reason, you have no wisdom. And I see how you can do things when you do have wisdom and you respect yourself, and then other people like that also exist, but you do have to find them. So that is why I comment on your stream about, yeah, about many things, that dating culture is not about getting girls and learn how to be like, hey, I'm a guy and you're a girl, and some kind of a funny pickup line. It's not about
Those
having the
pickup
game.
artists, yeah.
Yeah, it's not about having the game, because I would, if you want to get an intelligent woman or a girl, whatever, you have to also be that. If you want to have a long relationship, you have to get a person of quality. But if you like to be like the Johnny Bravo guy, then
Yeah,
you will get low quality girls that are going to be expendable, and they're going to act like that and be that. So whatever you are, you're going to attract that, the thing that you are, and that the thing that you,
let me ask you this.
yeah,
How would you define a high quality woman?
a high quality woman.
Yeah,
Well,
because you're talking about like you would get a low quality girl if you act like Johnny Bravo. So I'd be like, well, what would be a high quality girl?
Well, a high quality woman means a woman that knows what she wants in terms of the man in her life. She also created a life for herself. She does not want to be dependent on the man completely or something like that. She is more independent, but in the same time, she would appreciate his help, and for him to make her feel like a woman if he does some gentleman things for her. So she could be, I mean, she's knowledgeable, she is successful to some extent, or going there and wants to have something achieved in this life in terms of a career or something else. And the man is also, at least, for him to be, uh, to want to also improve and understand that, support her, but for them to be also partners, you know.
Gotcha. Then I would ask you, what do you think like a quality man is? Is that just someone who's always looking to complete her in some way or always to improve himself? Or how would you define like a quality man?
Yeah, well, yeah, the quality man has to be like similar to the woman. He is also very independent as much as possible. Yeah, he does takes care of himself. He understands health and fitness, because that is what is going to prolong our life anyways. It's not only about the looks. And then, of course, he has some kind of a career idea. He is serious about that. He is financially stable to a point, or at least he's going there. So he's not some kind of a guy that doesn't know what to do with his life. And he's like, ugh, it's just me, just take me. I mean, he's honest, he's open, but he's also trying to improve himself. And the same goes for the woman. She can be herself and honest and open, but still trying to improve herself. So they complete each other by understanding that type of, growing together and individually mindset. So that's how they complete each other, by supporting this growing and developing idea of oneself.
Gotcha. So then if there was a relationship, would you describe that as like a 50-50 partnership or how do you see the structures of like a relationship?
Yeah, actually, it is like a 50-50 partnership, but you know how there's chores in life and stuff. I mean, sometimes it depends on the situation. A guy has to be capable of taking care of himself, but also the woman has to be able to do those things too. So, like for example, the guy has to know how to cook his own stuff, and the woman has to know that as well. And sometimes she can do something for him, sometimes he can do something for her, cook something for her, clean. She can clean too. whatever is in the moment. And when they go together to the grocery shop, they have to understand each other what they want, because I have seen so many couples that they can't even go to the groceries without arguing with each other. It's really toxic and stupid. I mean, that's why when I when I analyze, I just love to analyze reality shows, because they do put some people that are examples of real life personalities. They always put them in those situations and dates, romantic stuff like go to Paris, crush grapes together to make wine and all of that, going to the beach, and that is not equal to what real life is going to offer. I mean, you can go to a
Yeah.
romantic date, but that's going to be a presentation of everyday life. But if they actually put them into those chores, those Monday things, if they can understand each other and do that as a team and have some kind of a harmony in all those Monday things, that is the real test of a relationship, and not the romantic stuff, because everyone can feel great when you do something like that, but then it's gone the next day when you have to go to work and all of that.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I'm just poking to see like where you stand on certain areas and everything else like that. I would ask you then too. Let's say there's a disagreement between the man and the woman. Do you feel that this should just be like a negotiation? Would you ever see it where, because there are going to be men out there that feel that they want to be more dominant and what I say goes. How would you react then to somebody like that? Would you just be like, I'm out, like I'm not going to put up with this kind of a thing, or how would you handle a situation like that?
Well, if my man is the one, I mean, one that will say such a thing, what I say goes, then to me that is no, yeah, I am out, because if you can't understand what I'm saying, and if I am willing to listen to you, understand your point, that you're supposed to do the same for me, if you cannot do that, then we don't have a discourse. You are shutting this down by your attitude that I cannot say anything, but you can. So that immediately is going to be, a no go. But then I will prevent that by just not getting into a relationship with such person in the first place, because there's many ways to understand and talk actually with someone that you have an interest in, to talk about the serious topics and how what they think about certain things beforehand, and not where you're already in a relationship and all of a sudden there's something is happening and you're like, I didn't know that's what happened. There's a lot of things too. A lot of people just don't talk. That's what I want to say. People don't talk and they don't share. So you have to be with someone that's willing to be open as you. So those things just can't happen.
Gotcha. How would you handle disputes? So, let's say I've got a girlfriend. Um, for whatever reason, I want to go see this movie, but I want to go see it with her. She says no, she doesn't want to go. It turns into an argument, and I'm saying I want to spend time with you. She says no, I'm tired, whatever the reason may be. How would you handle certain disputes like that? That's very petty, but I'm just kind of giving an offhand example here.
Okay, well, in this situation, you do have to. I mean, you want to see a movie, she doesn't want to see a movie. Well, you can either be like, okay, then we're going to go next time, or you can either be like, well, I wanted to see that. Why do you don't want to see that? Then she has to explain why she doesn't want to, and you just have to judge this case by case basis. If she's really like on the nose and super negative about it, why is that? And if it's not really a big deal, and she is willing to go next time, it's just this is not a good moment for her because this and this reason. You just have to take all the things into consideration, because sometimes uh, girls or whatever, men also can be like, no, 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 totally not. I don't care. You just go by yourself, whatever, go with your girlfriends or with some other friends. But then if she does that, then she is the bad guy or something. So it's just turning into this really, yeah, very pity and ridiculous situation. So it depends on the person how you would react. Well, by the way that she is reacting. If she is really like, no, then you have to understand why.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to see normally how you would handle certain situations like this. Let's talk about what if it's something along the lines like, I'll ask you this. Do you think it would be okay if you've got a husband and let's say you've got a lot of male friends that you're talking to and he says, I don't feel comfortable with you talking to those male friends. I don't want you going out hanging out with them or anything else like that. Like, how would you see a situation like that?
Well, I actually have a lot of male friends. That is something that is real. But then again, yeah. So we totally understand each other that, yeah, I can have a lot of male friends. They're around me for years. I'm not the type of person to do anything or have an interest in them and all of that. And I'm not going to go, let's say, to have a coffee with some of them when I'm taking the time between me and my boyfriend. I'm not going to do that, period. I mean, for me, it's more important to spend time with my boyfriend rather than go to a random coffee with some friend. I mean, most of the times we can just chat to see how we are, but I'm not going to go to see him, to see a particular guy, unless it's for like something really, really important, just because it is going to take from our time. And if it isn't, and my boyfriend is somewhere at work or something like that, then it's just, again, case by case basis. It's if it's really important. If it's not, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to take this time to work, probably, which is most important anyway for me. So yeah, what to tell ya? But if
Gotcha.
my boyfriend is uncomfortable with that, I'm not gonna step on that line at all. He's more important to me and how he feels about that. So I'm going to be respectful towards that decision, and it really doesn't take anything away from me as well. So in this case, I will be, in a total agreement with how he's feeling.
I got you. Yeah, I was just curious about stuff like that because I think we see it from both dynamics where whether it's a guy that hangs out with certain female coworkers or something where maybe the woman doesn't like it or vice versa. So just kind of curious on that one. If you have any questions for me, you can just hammer at me. I'm just poking at you to see where you stand on certain areas. By the way, one thing I will say real quick though is the idea of a father marrying off his daughter. I already know that from my point of view, this is not how society is currently working at this moment, at least in the Western society. So what you probably got from me when I was in that live stream is I was basically just talking basically about date culture, which I'm largely against already, but it's just because I feel that something should be some way doesn't mean that it is. You still have to learn how to navigate the way that it is right now, which is basically date culture. So then it goes into if you're going to choose somebody, you got to know what you're choosing. And I have always said that where you fish determines the type of fish that you catch. So if you fishing in the sewers, you're not going to catch anything very healthy, bar hopping or anything else like that. So that's where I'm basically at, and that's what I was talking about mainly in that live stream. Probably is what you caught.
Okay, well, there's a lot of interesting comments as well. So that's
Sure.
why I wanted to tune in, because my observation always has been that just people are in this very regular type of well, I don't want to say crowd mentality, but it's just the way that it is, because a friends of a friends teach other friends how they're supposed to be dating and go to get girls and all of that, and girls are the same in their own way. And then it turns into this men and women against each other, and it's just ridiculous. It's so dumb. So if all people just chill out and went to really like work on themselves, get a hobby, just enjoy what they can do and who they are as a person, really, then they're just gonna be a lot better to be a partner to someone else. You have to be adequate partner to someone else, but before that, to be adequate, you have to develop yourself to a point. That doesn't always mean to have money. It just means that you have to be a solid person, not with an empty head, and everybody are
Yeah.
going on dating with an empty heads completely.
No, I got you on that one. Yeah.
I'm just watching the comments real quick so we can go with that if you like,
Sure.
see what
No
people
problem.
are saying. Okay.
What's up, Eniacs Craft?
Huh? What?
Oh, one of my members in here.
Yeah, Lady Russo also said something, and I have a long time viewer here, so I'm like trying to not miss something that he said. Girl got fired from her job, but go to meet Shaya. How does that work? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you're not going to go in the wrong direction again because we're going to be here all night. I'm a single parent. My kids are 8 and 13. I have no social life at the moment. I just stay in and paint my 40K. For some reason, I just attract toxic, damaged women, so I just focus on my family. Yeah, just go do that. I mean, whatever works. Michael says, packed question. It's important to study further for all guys. Well, in general, I once built houses, cleaned the house I own, take care of baby, and perform, not to mention, conquer the universe. What? Okay. No offense to anyone. My honest feeling is husband and wife are parents, but it's not a partnership. Men and women are complementary, but their responsibilities to the relationship can't be the same. Well, it really depends. I mean, on the contrary, I see a very good partnerships between men and women. That is when actually things work. I mean, what to tell ya? You can't put dogma on relationships because then you literally annihilate a lot of solutions to our relationships. You can't say men should do only this and women should do only that. Yeah, there are some things that I prefer the man to do sometimes, and that's fine, you know. But that doesn't mean that we cannot be partners for everything else. So why would we excluding some things and putting like particular rules that never works? You should do whatever you feel that you are able to do as a capable human being and help the other person. I mean, I always say that we are first, before we are men and women, we are humans, human beings. So treat the other person as a good human being the way that you want to be treated, and then we are men and women. So when you put dogmas on things and like frames, try to put them in the box, that's where you make a lot of mistakes and you act like a robot who is following a particular pattern of behavior, and that just doesn't make any freaking sense. Just do whatever is best, for you and for the other person. Lady Runesong says men should be good leaders, but relationships are partnership. You can also say that. I mean, a lot of things are true, yes. I never met a woman who felt secure about me having female friends, yet many of them have male friends, exes in their lives, etc. That happens, yes. But it depends on you. I mean, if she's a good judge of character, she'll be feeling safe that you're having female
Let
friends
me
as long
jump
as you're
back.
not giving any.
Let me jump back to one of these comments real quick. I found that kind of interesting where Lady
Okay.
Runesong says, men should be good leaders, but relationships are a partnership. So then I would kind of ask in this question, what does it mean to be a leader while simultaneously being a partner? Because
I
if a partnership implies a 50-50, by default, you can't be a leader.
I understand her that she meant leaders in general, not leaders in the relationship per se, but leaders in life in general. They could be leaders, but when it comes to their partner, their love interest, and their partners with that person.
They
That's
drop leadership status.
basically,
I
yeah,
see.
basically, but that does not, go against them being leaders in life.
Got it.
I mean, Lady Runson, please tell me if that is what you meant, because that is exactly how I understand it. Okay, what about spending 200 on Warhammer, but everything is paid for bills and the cupboards and the fridge are full of food, but she kicks off for wasting money on pointless hobby. Well, I personally don't agree with that. I mean, I'm a geek too. So the woman has to also be a geek. What to tell you? You're a bit incompatible if she's also not a geek. So I spend money only on meaningful things, but when it comes to, saving aside some part that I can for something and my man is also doing the same, I'm okay with that because we do have to enjoy the hobby. I mean, money cannot be only for just surviving. Sometimes you have to have some fun in a reasonable manner. So I would say that yeah, many women does not understand those things because they're not geeks. Only the other day I heard a scandal about Lego because someone's husband wanted the Lego and she's like, "Get that thing off my face" or something. It was like a hysteria about Lego. So those things are not okay, just ridiculous.
I used to always hear comments like that where guys would be like, "Oh, I gotta go home and ask the boss if I can buy like this new Warhammer model."
Damn it. Well, I mean, You do have to be like, hey, if I'm your man and I want to get those things. Yes, everything is secured, everything else is secured. You have food, you have this, the bills are paid. Why not me getting whatever I freaking want? I mean, that is literal stress relief and it's good for your mental health. That's what you should tell your woman, okay? It's good.
All I tell my wife is, look what I got. That's it.
Look what I
Like,
got.
check this
I
out.
got a badminton painting, yeah. I had you a stigma. Damn you, Gamza. I love that. Okay,
What's
date
up,
and
man?
relationship culture has never been a more important subject. Yeah. Yeah, kinda, because, also in Hollywood there's like this Me Too thing, and like men are not able to make compliments to women, and that's a whole nother topic, but yeah, it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole date thing, like I don't mind discussing it, but I wasn't sure how far you wanted to go with it. I didn't want to come on your channel and like derail anything with like a bunch of date talk or debating or anything else like that.
It's free for
But
all.
that's why
It's free for all section.
I'll just poke it a little bit just to see where you stand. That's all.
That's great. I'm open. I'm open to that. It's a free for all section of the stream. We're off topics, all the topics. But yeah, that is a good thing, because I know that some women are now like, oh, you can't say this or you can't say that to me because I'm offended. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The guy was trying to make you a compliment. You know?
Yeah, no. I think deep down they actually like it. I think most women like to be complimented. I can't imagine some woman getting mad that she was told that she's attractive. I think what it does is when you've been told that you're a victim or that you are told to act a certain way against men, then perhaps that's the way that you see it.
If she's a Karen, she can totally be
Yeah.
that. No, those women are crazy. I'm telling you. Brain and
I think they
beauty
have their
were.
feelings, and I think those feelings are natural, but they're told how to respond. So if a dude says like, "Hey, I don't know, you got a nice shape to you," I think deep down they understand, "Hey, I like that. I've been complimented." But I think on the outside they're like, "Hey, wait a minute. I think this is one of those cat calls. The society told me that I need to be outraged about this. How dare you?" And I think that's what it turns into.
Yeah,
That,
but
or maybe they are just maniacal.
women in general do have to know the difference between a compliment and a catcall, because catcall is usually, I'm walking down the street and that's the thing that happened. And a car pulls up and it's, Jesus, there's this huge thing. I always forget its name. It's like, it's not a microphone, it's like the thing that you use to talk to crowds. Do
The
you know?
megaphone?
Yeah, a megaphone. Jesus.
Yeah.
So a guy just gets this megaphone through the window and he's like, "Hey, babe!"
You should have said what?
I was like, it just turned around and walked away.
Oh no, you missed your opportunity. You should have told him to like and subscribe.
No, oh, no, no, no. I would never reveal my identity. Because some people do
Just have it
recognize
like on
me.
a T-shirt. Please
Jesus.
like and subscribe, man.
No, 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 no. It just, I mean, that happens usually in the summer mostly. But there are some times in winter that I'm just wearing a coat and some guy just passed me by and he's like, I'm like, I'm just gonna keep walking now. Yes, okay. It's just
Damn.
very, very uncomfortable. So that is catcalling. And I don't want to get into an argument on the street. I mean, the best strategy is just to ignore, ignore, ignore. And that's it, really. But when it's like a true compliment, it's a true compliment. So yeah, Jesus.
No, I got you on that one.
And the
It,
other thing that I want to quickly tackle before we go, it's because of some girls on the internet, Twitch stuff that
hmm
happened, that they're trying to show how they're bathing in a bath or just
Yeah,
doing other
yeah.
things. And that is when the same thing happened and became like a thing. And now every guy on the internet that is trying to say something good, that is coming from admiration or just genuine, well, yeah, it's just he's like genuinely trying to say something good to me. Everyone else then are like under his compliment, comment, whatever, same. I'm like,
Yeah, no, I got you on that one.
that's just not fair, because I do know
People,
some of the
especially on the
people
internet,
here.
they like to take things to the extreme. That's the way it always goes.
Yeah, I mean, some people truly just really admire you sometimes, and they really are good people. I mean, I literally know some of them for years. So I just feel that that's just not fair. And Lady
Oh,
Runsong
lady,
says,
there you go.
yeah, she's here. Many women like men that are good leaders in life and in their relationships, but men should respect their wives like a second in command. Be like, uh, who is that?
Cyphus Kane.
Safe as Kane and Amberly Vale. Aha, so basically, yeah, good leaders in life, in their relationships should respect, yeah, more like a partnership, basically, second in command partnership. Okay, although still, I don't see how the second in command thing comes to play because really, if you make the decisions together and if you have harmony and if you actually agree, then who is leading here? You know, sometimes you just agree on things. Then why do you have to have the dynamic of someone is a leader? Yeah, sometimes the man could be a bit more competent in some ways than the woman. Just really depends, guys. So I would say once again, it's like the framing thing. We just frame it that way. I think it's still case by case basis as long as they both are deciding whatever is supposed to be decided.
Yeah, and I think, especially in this culture, I think these things should be discussed before anybody gets in a relationship.
Exactly.
You should get a feel for what another person wants at this point in time. So I think this idea that you're just gonna walk up to a girl and then, like, let's say she shows an interest in you, you ask her out, she says yes, and after that, then you're like, oh, by the way, I'm the leader here, I wear the pants, you're gonna do what I tell you, kind of. Obviously, like, that's just gonna be silly, but I think springing that onto somebody and then expecting them to go along with it would just be silly. You should
Yeah.
just be more upfront, going, I'm looking for something that's more traditional. um, I'm looking for someone who's going to be a helper, not someone who's going to argue with me when I get home. If you can put that up front and they're like, hey, I'm not interested in that, then at least you know from there.
Yeah, I agree absolutely. You don't need a relationship with in which you don't know half of the most important things about this person, and then you realize, oh my gosh, no, he's actually does want to have babies, or he doesn't want to have babies, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like 3 years into the relationship, I'm like, what did you guys talk about before? Are you kidding me? Jesus, you lost 3 years of your life for nothing because you haven't talked about the most important things that you're actually interested in. You're like, nothing. Oh,
I
and
like
how
what I
about
like what Mini Craft said. But go ahead,
what?
sorry.
Yeah, before I forget my thought, how about all the couples on Facebook and really like in life where they put themselves into Facebook like they're happy and they're this beach on that cafe and whatever, but in
Oh
real
yeah.
life you know them in and you know that they're bickering and arguing all the time and everything is super fake. And then
Yep.
they go to work and they explain to their colleagues how they freaking hate every moment spent with that person, but they have them on their phone screen.
Yep.
What is that? That's what I wanna like meant in people, to fix. Like, what are you doing? You're not doing anyone any favors here. You're fake. You have fake relationship. Why are you doing this? Just break up. Find someone else. This is stupid.
No, I got you. It is silly.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we are good with everything.
Yeah.
We can be
I
done
think
here.
I think it was a good discussion. I think we covered quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, surely. So,
I mean,
thank
we
you.
went we went from Warhammer, we went from lore, we went to movies and TV shows, we went on dating. We did on everything. That
It's
was good.
good. It's meaningful, it's not stupid. So,
Yeah, exactly. Not mindless clapping with the soy face.
yeah, exactly. You're not going to be like, hey guys, did you see this? Did you see this? It's a gum. Yeah.
Is that gum?
Yeah, a bit more food for thought, guys. Food for thought. It's good. It actually protects you
Always.
for Alzheimer's, another old people brain disease. So it's good. Use your brain.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, so thank you so much to Gamza. You can go back and watch our first stream over his channel. It's actually pretty successful. I'm so happy. Empress, where is Paul? Who is Paul Luca? I have one friend, Logan, that usually sits here. Uh, but yeah, he's gonna be here on the channel soon. Love hearing meaningful discussions like this. We need more of this in the community. Thank you, Lady Song. Absolutely agree. And you're one of those people that actually doing something for the community, so thank you too. Yeah, Lob.
Excellent.
Yes. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Until next time with me and Gamza. Bye.
Thank you, boys.